Hi everyone, it's Matt Bloomfield at Wycombe Wanderers and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. Coming up in the next hour, we've got our match briefing from Phil in a few moments' time. The big news this week, the departure of Jason McCarthy. We'll hear from the fullback as well. We'll be looking ahead to tomorrow night's visit of Bolton Wanderers as well, under the lights on a Friday night, just before Christmas. The sound of Christmas. And Father Christmas will be there too. More on that on the way. So you can put in your January transfer requests. I don't think that's what Father Christmas is for, but anyway, I made that bit up. Also, thanks to Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, we'll continue our build-up to the Blackpool game on the 4th of January, celebrating 50 years, say it quickly, that Wycombe first got to the third round of the FA Cup. Those two games, the original tie and the replay against Middlesbrough. We'll chat to Paul Birdseye, also a fullback. If you remember, if you've been listening to the show a while, firstly, thank you. We're in our 5th series. Where have you been? Then, almost to the day, 4 years ago, we had Paul on. It must have been another anniversary of the third round of the FA Cup. And you might recall his wife featured in the background. Well, good news, she's back. I shan't say anything else, sort of spoil it at the moment, but listen out for that. Also coming up, we'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield, and we'll catch up with Sam and Callula from Wycombe Wanderers Foundation. You might have heard us talking last week about the return of the Warm Hub, which will be back at Adams Park and sometimes Downley between January and March next year. If you're over 50, which I'm not currently, but might be by then this will be an ideal opportunity for you to get warm, have a fantastic hot meal, perhaps meet new friends, get some information for social groups or other kind of activities and advice you might be in for. So yes, all that and more on the way in the next hour. But first, our regular catch-up with Phil, including, of course, only one place to start, the news this week that Jason McCarthy's departed the club.
Yeah, it's I think good for everyone concerned, really. I think Jason, at his stage of his career, needs regular football, and that's not been happening at Wycombe Wanderers due to the size of the squad and the emergence of Jasper Pattenden, especially from the development squad. And, you know, I think it's a credit to Jason. He's a model pro. I think it must be hard when you're left out and not getting the game time, but you've got to keep yourself ticking over. You've got to keep going to training. You've got to keep putting the work in, which he has done. You know, he's been an exemplary pro of late. And of course, when he was in the team, an exemplary player as well on the pitch. But it's off the pitch, really, that I'm going to miss Jason, and as I'm sure many fans and members of staff and players will as well, because just a fantastic guy. You know, and someone great to have around the place. And you can see that from the reactions of his teammates on Twitter, on social media, and the fans as well. Look, this was a guy that really gave his all for the club in 4 spells. He loved it that much. He came back 4 times. And, you know, he's seen some really good moments as well. And one of those characters, you know, to go back to the Gareth Ainsworth era, where a trusted general, someone that you could really trust and rely on. And, you know, not just in football, in life, those people are great to have around, and obviously sad when they move on. But we wish him all the best, and I'm sure we'll all be keeping a close eye on what he gets up to.
And as you say, just that fact alone that he's had 4 spells at the club, there can't be too many players who've done that, and just shows his relationship with the place. Yeah,
you know, and I think Wycombe has got that kind of tractor beam, or it certainly had, and it's about, you know, players. They come here, they get into the environment, they become part of it. They then get opportunities and move on, and then often it's not the same as at Wycombe. And I can't speak of any other club. I've never worked for another club. I've never supported another club, so I don't know what it's like. But you know, Jason's not alone in coming back, and you know, there's a reason for that, and I think it's because of the environment that was there. So yeah, I can see why that's happened. But yeah, you know, wherever Jason ends up, I hope he gets looked after, and I'm sure wherever he does end up, they'll be fortunate to have him.
And you forget, don't you, sort of the key role he's played at key moments during his time and his years at the club.
Yeah. I mean, it's nearly 10 years, isn't it? If you add up all the spells. So, you know, it's a large chunk of anyone's career, certainly of footballers. And it's been a monumental time in the history of Wycombe Wanderers. So yeah, he's seen and taken part in a huge amount on and off the pitch, and was great to hear from him as well when he left.
Jason, your 4th spell as a Wycombe Wanderers player comes to an end. How has this decision come about? Yeah, I think it's been a tough one, first and foremost. It's been a process, I think, but I just feel like it's the right time for me to leave the club. The club are in amazing hands and it's exciting times for the club, and it's been a pleasure to play my part in what's been a really successful part in the history of the club, but I feel like it's my time to sort of step away now and watch on from a fan.
The team have obviously been doing so well so far this season. That has meant there have been fewer opportunities for some members of the squad, but how impressed have you been watching on how well the team have been doing?
Oh, amazingly well. It's been an absolute joy to watch on, really. Seeing what the gaffer's implemented and what he's done with the team, and what the new ownership have also brought and carried on from what Rob and Pete done as well. It's been a joy to watch, really, and I've been really, really proud to be associated with it. My game time has been limited, but I have absolutely no qualms with that. The guys who have been playing have been amazing and have done really, really well. So I've got nothing but respect and admiration for the group. And like I said, I look forward to staying in touch with those boys. So many of them are friends for life. We've created that deep connection over a long period of time now. That's special. That's what it's all about. It's time for me to look elsewhere, I think.
Coming back to a club for a fourth time means it must have a special place in your heart. Just what has Wycombe Wanderers meant to you?
So much to me and my family. When I left Southampton all those years ago now, it seems like, when I was a young puppy. I was only 19. So this was the first club I came to, and I felt nothing but the warmth and love from the people when I first come through. And like you said, I've been back here four times, so I obviously love it here. And the truth is, what has drawn me back all those times has been the people. And that is what makes the club special. And that is why the club has continually just beat the odds, really. And it's just been something I've been so proud and privileged to be a part of. And yeah, I definitely won't be a stranger. And I look forward to seeing the club continue to progress.
And don't forget, you can hear more of that chat with him speaking to Matt Cecil on Wanderers TV as well. And it really highlights, doesn't it? I guess many of us have got sort of favourite moments that he's contributed to, but as you say, kind of key moments in the club, and fascinating to hear him talk so fondly about, how he'll be watching on as a fan, and he'll still be keeping in touch. Yeah. I think the bonds you make with the club and the people involved will be really strong, and that will continue to be the case. And like I say, he'll always be welcome at Adams Park as a returning player in the opposition, or even if it's just as a fan or someone coming down, or you never know. I know he's very keen on doing his badges. He's been working his way through his badges. He's been doing some football business. In the further future, it could be someone that comes back as a coach or a manager, either as at Wycombe or as a member of the opposition. You never know. But look, I'm sure he's going to have a great career with whatever he goes on to do after football. And there's a lot of football to be played yet in his legs as well, no doubt. We obviously wish him well as well. And obviously, since we last spoke, the manager of the month for November was confirmed.
Yes, yeah. I think everyone knew it was coming. The stats are pretty undeniable. And yeah, I think it's, again, testament to the fantastic job that Matt and his staff are doing. And yeah, we worried about the curse, but the curse wasn't there either. So that was good. And, long may it continue. Can he win it 3 months in a row? That'd be hilarious. It'd be fantastic.
It'd be a very nice Christmas present, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm sure Matt Bloomfield would gather up all of his many awards for Manager of the Month and swap them for winning the League One title. If you offered him that chance, I think he would snap your hand off. Look, these are good indications of the club moving in the right direction, as Matt Bloomfield developing into an exceptional young coach. They're wonderful things for him to have, and they're deserved. But I think Matt will tell you that these are just steps on the road. We're in December. Wycombe are superbly well placed. I think now the rest of the division are now starting to take us a bit more seriously than they perhaps were in August. And so we'll see what happens. We have a huge period coming up over Christmas. January is going to be key, not just for Wycombe, but for everyone in the division as well. And, there's over half the season left to play. So, we'll see how we get on.
No, very exciting. And really interesting to be having a game on a Friday night, under the lights and just before Christmas as well.
Yeah, strange one, a Friday night game. But yeah, it's the last day of school, so hopefully the offer for £5 for kids in all parts of the stadium is taken up. I know that there's been a good uptake in that, so hopefully we can put on a Christmas cracker. Apologies, Colin, for the cliche. But yeah, hopefully we can do that on Friday night under the lights against the Bolton team who. A lot of noise has been made about them this season. They were appalling in the playoff final, and I say that as a Wycombe fan who was really hoping they would beat Oxford at Wembley. They just didn't turn up at all, and I think they've suffered a real hangover from that at the start of the season. They took a long time to get going, but they're a big club in our level, and they come into this game a few points outside the playoffs with a game in hand, which when you consider they've not really hit the ground running at all, and they've not really hit anywhere near top gear for, I think, what they should be doing, they're still really well placed. And I think they've got like 7 or 10 wins in their last 18 games. That's decent form. And, their fans are saying they're nowhere near their potential yet, and they're putting pressure on their manager. The chairman of Bolton have come out and in quite a lengthy statement really backed Ian Evatt and reminded fans of where they're at and where we are in the season. So look, they're a club that will want to be involved in the conversation at the end of the season, and they'll see Friday night as a way of doing that. Obviously, the fans, from a Bolton point of view, will look at Aaron Morley playing for Wycombe Wanderers at top of League One, and they will talk about the why he's at Wycombe. But it's been a great loan spell for him, and we hope he continues for the rest of the season at Wycombe Wanderers. But the January window's coming up. But Bolton fans are somewhat mystified by their lack of midfield options at times this season, whilst Wycombe Wanderers have taken a player that wasn't getting a lot of game time at Bolton and made him a regular. And and he's been an integral part in what Wycombe have achieved so far this season, which, as I said earlier on, we've achieved top of the table. We don't get a prize for that at Christmas. So, we can hopefully build on that between now and the end of the year. And I'm sure everyone is hoping that Aaron Morley can be part of that too.
No, absolutely. And you mentioned the fixture schedule, and I realise we should only take each game as it comes. Apologies. But as you say, over the Christmas period and into the new year, there's quite a hectic build-up of games. Obviously, there's 2 away games, Boxing Day and the 29th as well, but then 4 home games in the new year.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people now, these so-called experts who sort of make their predictions in August and now having to sort of really drill down into what Wycombe have done in the first half of the season. And some of those have picked up on the fact that we've played, I think, 3 or 4 more away games than most people in that run for whatever reason, the vagaries of the fixture calendar and the international breaks. We've lost a couple of home games in those. So, yeah, we have a lot of home games coming up. Great chance for the club to keep connected with the town more as well. And even the away games over Christmas. Stevenage away isn't far away. Charlton is a great away day in London, although the early kickoff is, it may be good if you want to go out afterwards. If you want to go out before, it's not quite so good. But yeah, so they're not too far away. So it'll be a busy time. I've known busier Christmases in terms of the schedule. I think it's been paced out a little bit, which is nice just because of the way the dates have fallen. So hopefully Wycombe can take advantage of that. But also, as we've spoken about many times this season, Colin, the squad and the rotation options for Matt Bloomfield are there. And I think at this time of the year, they could really come to their own. So hopefully we can see that bear fruit, the front 3 especially, keeping them all fresh and rotated and everything else. And as I said to Matt Bloomfield earlier in the week when we were previewing the Bolton game, I made a montage of all the goals that Wycombe Wanderers have scored this season. And 2 things that struck me were one, the variety of goal scorers. They've been shared out across the front players and around the squad. And also the variety of the goals that we've scored as well. And there's a lot of headers in there, which is quite surprising when you consider that, that people talk about the Blooms ball style, the different style that we do play. But, is a really good mixture of goals, which I think is again testament to the coaching and also the way that we're playing.
It's a very exciting time, lots to look forward to. Enjoy the game on Friday, and wish you a very happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas, Colin. Thank you for your support this year. Enjoy Christmas, and we'll speak, no doubt, in the new year.
Real pleasure to have Phil on the show, as always, and ever present in 2024 in that kind of supporting role. Really grateful for his contribution on the show. Do check out the Wycombe Wanderers website as well, where you'll see him and hear him in conversation with Matt Dye, who's the Wycombe Wanderers' new Academy's new head of football development. Speaking of which, you might have seen the Academy this week has made another new signing with the arrival of Jen Joyce. She's been appointed as education lead. She joins the club with a wealth of experience, having worked for Everton and Norwich as an academy tutor, and more recently at Brighton as their lead education and player care officer. She commented on her arrival. She's truly excited to start this opportunity, which offers a unique chance to be involved in building something innovative and bespoke. She said what really attracted her to the club was its strong commitment to doing things the right way, prioritising players' needs and experiences, which is something that she is truly passionate about. Speaking to the club's website, Jeremy Sauer, who of course is the academy director, said that Jen's another exciting addition to the team and will be a driving force in ensuring all our young people are provided with outstanding pastoral care, which is at the heart of the football club. She'll be having responsibility, Jeremy continued, for supporting all the education provision for the young people and working closely with their education providers. Jeremy said that they're delighted to have her on board and to be taking another really positive step forward in the development of the academy. Do watch out for more academy news. It's really exciting. The team that's growing there and looks very good for the future of the club as well. We're looking forward to seeing what bears fruit from the academy at Harlington. Don't forget as well, we'll hear from Matt Bloomfield as well before the end of the show. Also talking to Phil ahead of the visit of Bolton Wanderers.
Across High Wycombe and South Buckinghamshire. And on your smart speaker.
Play Wycombe Sound.
This is Wycombe Sound.
The Chair Boys are flying high in League One this season, so come on down to Adams Park, get behind the boys and play your part in what will be a memorable season for Wycombe Wanderers.
71 minutes on the clock, up against Jed Stitt, dancing around on his line.
Take your time, Rich. Take your time.
Kone. Here he comes.
It's been goals for the Chair Boys so far this season. Come on down to Adams Park to play your part and get behind the boys. Head to tickets.wwfc.com and use the code SOUND on booking for a chance to win a gantry experience at a Wycombe Wanderers home match. Come on, you Blues.
Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll preview some of the festive offerings apart from football at Adams Park in the final home game of 2024, and we'll look at what the foundation is offering in the new year as well, which is in part contributed by the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association. Speaking of which, on the first home game of 2024 against Blackpool, many of the team who got to the FA Cup third round for the first time against Middlesbrough will be celebrating 50 years since that occasion. And I'm very pleased to say, continuing our theme of building up to that event, we can catch up with defender Paul Birdseye, who's been on the show before, but this was bound to be just as entertaining, I can tell you. Celebrating 50 years since that third round.
The memories and the excitement of it are very much still with me. I'm just worried about where the 50 years have gone since those two momentous matches.
Because if you say it quite quickly, it doesn't seem that long, that much of time, does it? But when you reflect on how long ago it probably really was.
Yes, I know. It's worrying. It's 2/3 of my lifetime away.
but as you say, it's fantastic that you've had that experience, and especially obviously, as you say, being from Wycombe as well. It must be so nice to have that kind of thing to have done.
Oh, absolutely. There are two things that I remember most. Firstly, that with who was the ITV presenter who did the big match?
Brian Moore?
Brian Moore. I knew it was Brian somebody. I was more nervous on the Sunday afternoon watching the big match recording than I was on the Saturday. And the second thing was the replay that we had at Ayresome Park, the reception that we got at the end of the match from the Middlesbrough supporters was really quite astounding. And those are the two memories that I will have, I think, for all of my natural days, however many more there may be.
So what do you recall about the run to getting to the third round? Because I imagine there were plenty of matches before that.
I don't remember if we played in the fourth qualifying round. I think we probably did, and I can't quite recall who we played in that. The first round proper, I believe, we were at home to Cheltenham, and I think I scored rather a splendid goal in that game. That was one of the few goals that I scored. And then we played, I think it was Bournemouth in the second round, and again we drew at home and beat them away from home. And interestingly, the centre half who was at Wycombe in my first season, which was 71-72, was John Delaney, and he subsequently turned pro and was playing at Bournemouth when we beat them in that replay.
And it's incredible to think, isn't it, the amount of appearances that you had for the club, and I guess you couldn't have imagined that you'd get to the third round of the FA Cup to play the likes of Middlesbrough. Well,
it was pretty memorable in as much as after we'd beaten Bournemouth in the second round, Brian Lee went to watch Middlesbrough. I think they were playing Everton the weekend before the third round, or maybe it was over the Christmas period, and Middlesbrough were top of what was the first division then, and Brian came back, sat us down in their dressing room and said, "We've got no chance." But that was typical Brian Lee. He was a very good psychologist and would say all sorts of things, I think, to get us on the edge of our seats and get us up for the game.
And you had a personal tussle with the England winger David Armstrong. Was that something you relished?
Yes, and I met David. I think he came to one of our ex-player suppers a few years ago. And I think that was one of the celebratory dinners, and Jim Platt was also there. But yes, it was a wonderful, or two wonderful occasions. And the other interesting thing, Colin, that I remember from that day, something I discovered subsequently, there was a photograph in the press of me running down the steps from the dressing rooms onto the pitch. And one of my dear friends, who happened to be a PC in the Thames Valley Police at the time, Dave Palmer, was actually standing on duty next to the steps down onto the pitch. We didn't know him at the time, but when we moved to Marlow, they turned out to be neighbours of ours, and it wasn't until Alan Parry supplied me with a copy of the video of the game that we realised that our dear friend was on duty that day. Little did we know we were going to become firm friends in the future.
What a lovely connection as well. It's great that football does things like that, isn't it?
It does. And yes, I think the wonderful thing about sport is you meet an awful lot of people, and it's a bond which you can share anywhere in the world.
And you're coming together on the 4th of January for the Blackpool game, and that'll be special, I'm sure, whenever you reconvene after what you all went through.
Yes, and interestingly, my wife's just going through a scrapbook which was presented to me on, I think, my 50th birthday, and I'm just having a look at a photograph of Keith Searle narrowly missing a goal with their centre-half Stuart Bohm in the background. I have to say, I don't dig the scrapbook out very often. In fact, I dig it out every 5 years when you call.
I'm glad it's put to good use.
Just to refresh my fading memory, you understand.
Of course, but brilliant, as I say, to reflect on your teammates of that time and what you all went through together.
Yes, it was a great experience. Sadly, we've lost a couple of that team. Both Howard Kennedy and Mickey Holyfield have been the recipients of prostate cancer, and they're no longer with us. But they were wonderful days. Wonderful days.
And fantastic to literally be in the history books as the first team in the club's history to get to that stage of the competition.
Yes, and then I think Martin O'Neill took them a couple of stages further than that when they got to the semi-final and played. Was it Liverpool that they played at Villa Park? I can't quite remember.
That's right, yes. It was Laurie Sanchez who was the manager then.
Oh, that was Laurie, was it? Right. Well, there's another connection, because when I left Loughborough and first joined Wycombe, I was a PE teacher in Reading, and in my first year there teaching, I coached the Reading schools under-15s, and Laurie Sanchez was my centre-half.
Wow.
When Laurie Sanchez was manager, unfortunately I didn't catch up with him because when he was centre-half for my Reading Schools football team, he did make the odd mistake, and I would have liked to have reminded him of those, but the opportunity didn't present itself.
Of course. As a teacher, I think you feel it's your duty to point out that sort of thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
But fantastic as well, just your story alone, in that, you know, you literally followed in your father's footsteps and you played so many times at the club, as I say, and it was your local team.
Yes, the first game I think the first game I played for them was at Oxford City in the FA Youth Cup, and I played under floodlights at the White Horse Ground in Oxford for the first time in my life, and I actually scored a header, which was very rare for me because I was a little 15-year-old sprog, and the ball came out of the floodlights, hit my head, and went in. And it was the next Friday in the Bucks Free Press where there was a photograph of me and a headline, "Like father, like son." And I'd hardly scored a header in my life before that.
No, that's fantastic to have that, and to make over 600 appearances as well. I believe you're fifth in the all-time list of appearance makers for the club. That must make you very proud as well.
Oh, I had a wonderful career at Wycombe, and my wife and I were both born and bred in High Wycombe. So when I joined Wycombe, I had the opportunity to go and join Skelmersdale because I was playing for the English Universities team. And the manager of that team, Roy Rees, was not only a lecturer at Liverpool University, but was also the manager of Skelmersdale. And he wanted me to go and play there. And I had an interview with the Liverpool Education Authority on a Thursday afternoon, spent 5 minutes talking about education, half an hour about talking about football. And then they said, well, there's 11 jobs, take your pick. And the following evening, I was playing for the British PE colleges at Lokes Park under floodlights. It was the day before the FA Cup when Arsenal beat Liverpool, so that was 71. And Brian came and talked to me in the bar afterwards, and I had the choice of Skelmersdale or playing for my home club, and it was a no-brainer for me. Wycombe every time. So, yes, so I got the teaching job in Reading, and that's when it all started. And I hasten to add, I met my wife of 52 years at Maidenhead Football Club when Wycombe were playing, can't remember, I think it was probably Slough, in the Berks and Bucks Cup final, Easter Monday 72. And I've been manacled to her ever since.
Was she just there as a fan?
She wasn't even a fan. I think her friends dragged her there to look at all these fit young blokes in wearing tight shorts.
And she's been stuck with you ever since?
No, I've been stuck with her, Colin. Let's get this right. She's in the background killing herself. She's actually pointing a gun at me.
Oh, so sorry you're being held under duress.
Yes, absolutely. I've had 3 life sentences with her.
But also brilliant for you to be able to kind of look back and also follow the club, how it's developed since your time there as well.
Yes, I haven't been back there too many times to watch them, but it's always one of the 2 results I look for every Saturday afternoon, Arsenal and Wycombe Wanderers. Not necessarily in that order, but I'm absolutely thrilled that they're doing so well now. And it was great to see the mutual respect shown last week up at Shrewsbury when Bloomers and Gareth were in opposition, and the meaningful hugs that they gave one another before and after the game. That was great.
No, absolutely, and quite a coincidence as well. Now that you're based down in Portsmouth, that Wycombe Wanderers, of course, in the third round of this year's FA Cup, have been drawn against them.
I know that's really interesting, and I'm sure that will be a great game. And I hope the town will come out and support in their numbers.
And really nice as well that I think especially younger fans can learn about, you know, what the club was, what they were doing in the 70s and what they were achieving then, and how different the game has changed between then and now. Yes,
and particularly the finances. It was quite interesting that after the draw at home against Middlesbrough, I think we had a training session, and if I remember rightly, we were all in the dressing room after training complaining that we were only going to get a £10 bonus for the 2 games against the side that were top of the First Division. And the club was run on a proper tight budget. We would never be paid more than the club could afford to pay, unlike some clubs at the time who would go out, splash the cash in the pre-season at time, and then run out of money by Christmas. So it's always been a very well-run club, and I'm immensely proud to have been associated with it for so long.
And we spoke to many ex-players about, what it was like playing under Brian Lee and how influential he was, obviously, for the club, and I'm sure that's something that you'd echo as well.
Absolutely, he was a great man and a great club man, and it was so sad that we lost him last year. Unfortunately, I couldn't make his funeral because I was hors de combat at the time, having had a fall and fractured my neck. But he was a great man and somebody that I had an immense amount of time for.
Well, hopefully you're well now as well, and as I say, looking forward to the game against Blackpool on the 4th.
Yes, can't wait to get up there, Colin.
And as I say, it's so nice, isn't it, when you'll be able to reconnect with former teammates, and great that sort of football does that. Yes,
of course, with the Ex-Players Association, we have our annual dinner, which unfortunately I couldn't make this year because we were on holiday. I always attend the annual golf tournament that we have at Winter Hill. But it's great. The interesting thing is that the players that you shared dressing rooms with, the likes of John Maskell and Keith Searle, people like that, it's just as though we were together sort of a week or so ago, and it might have been a year or two, but the bonds that you develop in the close proximity of the dressing room is a bond that is very difficult to break.
And are you really pleased that you played when you did, or perhaps would you be rather playing today, or did you think that was a special time?
I don't know. Generally speaking, I was as fit as a butcher's dog. So I think playing today at the pace they play at, I don't know whether I would have coped with that. But the one thing I will say that's so different now is the quality of the pitches. Not that Lokes Park was ever a particularly bad pitch, but when I look at the quality of the pitches these days and the way the ball fizzes around on the dampened surfaces, it's not surprising that the game itself has sped up. I would quite enjoy the challenge of playing at today's speeds, providing I could turn the clock back and not be almost 75 years old.
that would definitely give you an advantage.
Yeah, the spirit's still willing, but the body's not quite where it was.
and I'm sure your wife agreeing there.
Yes.
Still with her hand on the gun, obviously. I'm sure we've asked you when we spoke to you previously, but what would you say is what kept you at the club for such a long period?
A sense of loyalty, a sense of hometown. I've got my wife prompting me in the background. She's writing my script, Colin.
It's good to have a technical advisor.
Yeah, it's my technical advisor, that's the one. And my operations manager. I've just felt, I was at home with the club. When I first joined, our first home was in Newbury, so I was travelling 45, 50 miles 3 times a week each way. Then we moved up to Wantage, and I was doing a similar mileage then. But then it got to the stage where our social life focused around Wycombe, so I managed to procure myself a job in estate agency in High Wycombe. And then we moved to Marlow. So it was very convenient, and it was our hometown. What more can I say? I was very comfortable there.
No, it's been fantastic to catch up with you again, to share your memories. I wish you and your family a very happy Christmas. And
thank you, Colin.
I hope you enjoy the occasion on the 4th.
Listeners. Yes, look forward to it. same to you and your listeners. Thanks for the call.
Real pleasure chatting to Paul Birdseye. Some behind-the-scenes news. The anecdote about Laurie Sanchez originally contains a stronger word. But the version you heard didn't. Brilliant to catch up with Paul Birdseye. He'll be at Adams Park on January the 4th against Blackpool. Is that the right date? Yes, I think it is. Other club news to bring you, and you can win prizes by completing the Wycombe Wanderers Supporters Survey. The club say your feedback is vital in helping them understand what drives or hinders your attendance on a match day, whether you attend regularly, occasionally, or not at all. The survey will help them identify ways to improve your matchday experience and attract more supporters to Adams Park. You're asked to please answer the questions honestly. That would help, wouldn't it? Your responses will be kept confidential. They're asking for your email address, as they may want to contact you to discuss points raised to help make developments in the matchday experience based on the feedback provided. Plus, they'll be selecting at random 3 supporters who complete the survey, who will be, stand by, the winners of either a signed shirt, VIP hospitality package at home game, or match tickets. That'd be good if we did a competition like that, wouldn't it? Anyway, check out the Wycombe Wanderers website for more details. More club news on the way, including what will be on offer at the Bolton game. We'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield, as well as the Wycombe Wanderers Show continues.
Across High Wycombe and South Buckinghamshire, and on your smart speaker.
Play Wycombe Sound.
This is Wycombe Sound.
Final part of this week's Wycombe Wanderers Show. Still to come, we'll bring you the latest from Wycombe Wanderers women. Just realised I've not mentioned them at all this week on the show. What's going on? Also, we'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield, as well as we build up to the visit of Bolton Wanderers on a Friday night to Adams Park. The Wycombe Wanderers Show on the eve of a game. That doesn't happen very often, does it? But first, if you're listening to last week's show, you'll know that the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation is pleased to be providing, once again, the Warm Hub. It's between January and March. It was around a couple of years ago as a pilot and was very well received. And I'm very pleased to have caught up with Sam and Callula, who are from the Health and Inclusion team, to find out a little more about how it's come about.
Yes, we're really excited. The Warm Hub is an amazing programme, and looking forward to opening the doors of Adams Park again and creating that warm space for people to come along to.
And clearly you were heavily involved in the one a couple of years ago, and you must be so pleased with kind of the feedback that you got from it.
Yeah, it's just such a great provision to run, especially because you can see the need for it in the local area especially. There's lots of great relationships and things formed from the last programme, with a small group of the participants still meeting up regularly once a month, continuous from 2 years ago. So it would be great for everyone to be back together again.
And there are so many different benefits to it as well. There's obviously the clues in the name, I guess, but because it's warm, but also the social aspect of it as well.
Most definitely, yeah. So people can come along, as it says on the tin, nice warm space, but also a hot meal. We'll have board games going, a little bit of bingo, time to just make new friends, meet up with old friends, and socialise and just have somewhere fun to come along in the evenings.
And clearly it's not even necessarily aimed at football fans either. People locally can just pop along. I remember we did the show from one, and there was this guy who came in who just sort of heard about it and wanted to see what was going on.
Yeah, definitely. Not everything we do as a foundation is based around football, and a huge amount of it is just based on helping people in many different ways, but through using football as sort of a driver for that. So it helps to get some people along, but not for everyone.
And Sam, it's a great example of collaboration as well. I remember last time the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association were supporting it. Even some of the first team would pop in as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we've got lots of partnership organisations, people that have helped us to put this together. So Buckinghamshire's Helping Hands have helped to fund this. But the likes of our football club and the players, and the Ex-Football Association. We've got 2 of our regular volunteers, Vince and Keith, that will be back again. And I've been really looking forward to coming back to volunteer again. Lots of partnerships within the community, our fire service, the police service, and lots of other organisations that will be coming down and mingling with people as well.
There was a very funny incident last time when we were there, when one of the gentlemen who was there approached Vince and Keith and thought they were 2 of the people that had come for the meal and the warms. They didn't realise they were one of the former players, and then they got stuck with them for a very long time explaining their story, which was fantastic. And it's a great example.
Well, they're definitely there for them. Rude as well.
And it is fantastic, isn't it, for people to kind of learn more about the football club as well, and perhaps attract new fans.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we mainly hold it within our Monty's Lounge, which is like Wycombe Wanderers' own museum. So you can come along and find out a little bit more information about the club. And yeah, if we can make a follower out of you, then even better.
And clearly, I'm sure you'll be very modest, but I'm sure loads of hard work must have gone into getting this, going again.
Yeah, definitely. I know Sam spent ages going out trying to get get the funding so that we're able to run this provision, and then obviously just the planning around sort of getting people to sign up again, contacting all the old participants, getting some volunteers and people down. We're also running a mini bus service this time for anybody who isn't able to make their own way to the stadium. So that's a lot of planning's gone into that, as it's something we obviously didn't offer last year, but we're really excited to be able to help some extra people come along.
Definitely. And if anyone is able to volunteer, would like to volunteer as a volunteer bus driver, then please do get in contact as well.
Because I imagine must be such a rewarding thing to be involved in.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Callula will know a lot more than me, but yeah, most definitely, we cannot wait to get this underway.
And I guess the important thing is obviously, just sort of spreading the message that it's on and people can come and it's free, and there'll be so many benefits to anyone who does attend.
Most definitely, yes. I mean, who doesn't love a free meal to start off with? But it's it's so much more than that. It's making new friends, and yeah, not spending an evening at home on your own. It's coming and joining a good sociable bunch and having fun, and having a meal as well.
So, who can come along?
Anyone over the age of 50. Yeah, basically anyone over the age of 50 who. Yeah, anyone, basically.
and I guess goes without saying that they'll be made very welcome as well.
Yeah, definitely. I know all our volunteers are obviously we are as well, but our volunteers are very excited to see everyone again, meet new people. So yeah.
Let's make it bigger and better than last time.
And you can get helpful tips as well from local organisations.
Yeah, so we'll have the likes of the police service, the fire service, lots of local providers coming in. We appreciate everything seems to have gone online, so you might not necessarily know what's happening in your local area. So by hopefully bringing those organisations down, they can promote what they do, and you hopefully can find out some interesting things from them too.
So remind us when the sessions start and when they run and how you can find out more.
Yeah, so we're starting on the 7th of January, and they will be every Tuesday and every Thursday. We will largely be at our football club, our home ground, but there are 3 sessions on our Tuesdays that we will be at a different venue, where we will be at Downley Community Centre, who are lovely hosting us for those 3 occasions where there's a match down at the club. But yeah, as I say, it's every Tuesday and every Thursday, 5 till 8, and starting from that 7th of Jan until the end of March. And to get in contact, you will most likely hear Callula's lovely voice on the end of the phone. But please do call us in the office on 01494 455 736.
And Callula, what's the main message you'd like to get across about the Warm Hub?
Just come along. It'd be great to have as many people there as possible. And see everyone again.
Well, it's been brilliant to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time, and happy Christmas.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Real pleasure chatting to Sam and Callula. I can tell you from personal experience as well, the food at the Warm Hub is very good. Brilliant company as well. You can make new friends and that sort of thing. So yeah, do check out those details, and look forward to that starting in the new year on a Tuesday. Also under the umbrella of the foundation, Wycombe Wanderers Women, who've played their final games of 2024 at the weekend. On Saturday, the under-18s didn't have a game. Felt like that was building up to more, didn't it? But better news for the developments, who were playing Slough Town, and the Chair Girls won 11-1. And there was a high-scoring game as well for the first team, who were away to Reading, remember, who were in Tier 2 comparatively recently. And Wycombe won 6-0. Big congratulations especially to Milana Kador, who's a recent guest on the show, who got player of the match, and they'll be back in action in the new year. Talking of the foundation, they're leading a creative corner for young fans ahead of the Bolton game. Make sure you don't miss that. Also Adams Park tomorrow, Santa Claus will be there. I know, so you can put in your This was a joke which I mentioned earlier as well, which didn't really work. But you can put in your January transfer window requests to Father Christmas. And there'll be seasonal music provided by the Chiltern Music Academy. They'll be performing at the fixture as well to give a real seasonal feel to the fixture. Obviously, 3 points would help as well for the League One leaders who take on Bolton Wanderers at Adams Park. Kick-off 7:45 tomorrow. If you're listening to this live, if you're listening to the podcast, maybe today, or perhaps the game's happened. Now, though, let's catch up with the manager who spoke to Phil.
Got off to a good start, didn't it? On New Year's Day, it was obviously a great start for us. A tough home game against Bristol Rovers at that point, and the boys played with real intensity and energy. Even with 10 men, we were excellent, and that form's kind of carried on through the calendar year for us, which we've been really, really pleased with. We want to finish on a high on Friday night if we possibly can. We've got a really tough game against top opposition, but it's been a really good year for us as a football club, as a staff, as a group of players, and especially at home, we've had some good results. Been able to celebrate a nice number of goals, and we hope to finish it on a high on Friday evening.
Before we recorded this, I put together all of the goals that we've scored so far this season. There's lots of them, which is wonderful. But also the thing that really struck me was the variety of goals and the variety of goal scorers. That must be really pleasing for you and your staff.
Yeah, I think it's obviously something that we went after in the summer, especially. The last two transfer windows, trying to add some extra pace and energy at the top of the pitch, which we were really fortunate to be able to do. And I think the competition within the squad, the respect that the lads have been treating each other with, and understanding that sometimes it's a start, sometimes it's as a finisher, and really being able to retain that energy and intensity at the top of the pitch has been really important for us. So it's enabled us to really refresh the team on a regular basis. And the number of goal contributions that we've had from our finishers, the number of goals we've been able to score from 60 minutes onwards has been very, very nice. And it's really enabled us to have some exciting moments, especially at the end of the games.
So looking ahead to our opponents on Friday night, Bolton Wanderers, it's been a slow start to the season, but they've steadily crept their way up. And if they win their game in hand, they're in that top six and they're well placed.
Yeah, I was just, again, saying to Sam, it's probably it's slightly natural that, losing in the playoffs would have a little bit of a hangover at the start of the following season. You've got all that disappointment and what nearly was, but not quite, a slight evolution of their group, a slightly different formation at the start of the season. And, it's hard to keep attaining those high level of results when wins are expected so often. So I think it was slightly natural, but they've really built their season and they've got a very good team, really well coached. It's a huge football club in our league. Supporter base is massive. Ian's done a fantastic job over a number of years, got a very, very good squad. Got a couple of suspensions and injuries come Friday evening, as have we. So, we had 2 good games against Bolton last year, and I'm expecting and hoping that Friday will be the same.
Their fans will put pressure on themselves. Is that early goal or first goal really crucial on Friday? It always is, I guess, in League One.
Yeah, it happens a lot, isn't it? And, in terms of trying to get your noses in front, I think it's about playing with that energy and intensity, but we have to keep our control and discipline and structure, absolutely, because we're playing against top opposition. And if we're erratic with that, then we'll get punished. So, for us, mate, it's about attacking the game the best we possibly can, but making sure that we're very organised out of possession and trying to implement ourselves in possession. I'm sure Ian will be saying exactly the same thing to his team. If we can get our noses in front, that would be great. But we have to play with control and make sure that we're performing for the longevity of the game, because like I say, it promises to be a good event, and I'm looking forward to the game.
One of the other things I sort of picked up on putting together this montage I did earlier on, if Wycombe do go behind, it hasn't really been a problem this season, has it?
Not as much as maybe it was last season. I've been really pleased with that comes from scoring and winning and winning. Winning breeds confidence and belief breeds winning. So I guess that's helped. The competition within the squad, the intensity that we've got, especially at the top of the group, top of the pitch, with the numbers that we've had to be able to rotate and refresh, has helped as well. So there's probably been a number of contributing factors. And I think it's just about trying to stay calm with it as well. If you go behind, there's still so long, and we don't want to get anxious with it. We don't want to add pressure to ourselves. It's about still trying to play with the same identity. But they're only words. It's up to the players, as I've said before, to go and do it. And it's all to them, really. The way they've played. Even, it was a tough game for us Saturday against Shrewsbury, and they found some real quality moments. and we hope to be able to find some more.
It's been a relentless season. The pace has been relentless, and Christmas is very, very busy. And then after that comes January, which has its own different challenges away from the pitch as well. So you can't sometimes look at this and think, wow, this is literally non-stop.
Absolutely, yeah. Days off, there's no such thing anymore as a manager. You think that the summer's going to be quiet because there's no games, but you're doing recruitment. Then you think that you get into the games, but then they're thick and fast. The amount of preparation, pre-match and post-match that goes into it. The January transfer window is nearly upon us, so the preparation for that is obviously extreme. The number of games we've got over Christmas is relentless, so it's great. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's the world that I know. It's the world that I love. So yeah, it's full on, mate, but it never lets you stop, and that's what I love.
And one player that won't be taking part now for Wycombe Wanderers moving forwards is Jason McCarthy, who's left the club now by mutual consent.
Yeah, Jace, we've obviously been in constant discussion throughout the season. There's not been enough football for Jace for what he deserves and for what he requires, which is absolutely fine. Jack Grimm has been incredible for us this year, as has Jasper when he's got his opportunities. And unfortunately for Jace, there's just not been as much football as what he needs and where he's at in his career. So he's dealt with everything with real dignity. He's an incredible guy. I've known him for a number of years now. 4 spells I think he's had here, and he's been great for us over a number of years. So he leaves with our love and our best wishes for both his personal and professional life. It's sad to see him go, but he goes with our best wishes, and I only hope good things for Jace.
And finally, final home game of the year. A message for the fans, because obviously Christmas is great for football fans and Wycombe Wanderers fans as well. So a message to the fans heading into this busy festive period.
Yeah, I think as always, it's a heartfelt thank you for their support of myself and the team. More importantly, as a group, I feel like we've grown quite a bit through the calendar year, and we're just really grateful for their support. The way they cheer us on at home, the way even through the tough moments of the previous year, they're always there for us. Wembley was a tough moment, and they were there for us. And we've had some good times as well. So thank you for your support. I hope you enjoy Friday evening. Have a great Christmas, and we're looking forward to seeing you back at Adams Park in the new year.
Great to hear from the manager, of course, and you can hear more from that chat with Phil on Wanderers TV. Pre-match drills is out. Still recommend Ringing the Blues as well. A great listen. You can get all the feedback and reaction from the Shrewsbury win at the weekend as well. The club on a fantastic unbeaten run, of course, going into the visit of Bolton Wanderers, the League One leaders, and tomorrow night's opponents are 13 points behind them, but picking up in form, as you've heard a little earlier on. Then back-to-back away games on Boxing Day, the trip to Stevenage, ahead of Sunday, the 29th of December, a 12:30 kickoff over at Charlton. Then a run of 4 games at Adams Park, kicking off on New Year's Day with a visit of Exeter City. Then, of course, the 4th against Blackpool, which we mentioned earlier on, which the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association are also commemorating 50 years since the club first got to the 3rd round of the FA Cup. Then a Tuesday evening game on the 7th, again at home against Huddersfield. Portsmouth, we mentioned that with our chat with Paul Birdseye. They'll be visiting on the evening of the 10th of January. That's a Friday as well. Another Friday game. That's in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. Appropriate, which has meant the postponement of the Rotherham game, which was due to be the following day. There's a lot of games in January. Then a trip to Mansfield. That'll be on the 18th. Followed by the following Saturday on the 25th at home to Northampton before concluding the month, that's better, on Tuesday the 28th of January, 7:45 kickoff at home to Barnsley. So a very busy fixture schedule for January 2025. Lots of opportunity for some points, and of course cup competition on the way as well. We don't have a show next week because it'll be Boxing Day and there's a game on, and so it'll be a bit tricky to get everything together in time, but enjoy the game if you're going, and have a fantastic Christmas, of course, and a very happy New Year. And join us in 2025. More previewing that game. We're due to chat to Alan Phillips, who was the captain on the day. More from Wycombe Wanderers women as well. Phil will be back, and more from the manager and other players as well. So yes, have a very happy Christmas, happy New Year as well. Enjoy the football. And let's hope that unbeaten run continues and we stay top of the table to start 2025. Do check out the podcast as well. Well worth listening to previous episodes of the show.